Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Attorney at Law shows. We talk about She-Hulk. Yes, this is the She-Hulk After Show, where we are going to be talking about, in full open spoilery goodness, She-Hulk Episode 3 that aired, well, for us last night, for some of you guys this morning. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to talk about She-Hulk Episode 3 first in our general kind of sense. And then we're going to throw it open to you guys to hear what you guys have to say about She-Hulk Episode 3. And we got a full crew complement here today because we've got myself. I'm here. My name's John Campea, sitting right here. Of course, we got Chris Carr.
Hi.
Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about twerking.
You've been waiting for this day.
Been waiting.
The whole time you've been working here. And sitting right beside her, Amy Newman is here for the first time to talk to us about She-Hulk. Good to have you here, Amy.
Thank you. I was going to go for a ready to get to twerk.
Oh, dear.
There we go.
Oh, yes. And
It'll just cut back and I'm gone.
And of course, Rob Meyer-Burnett will be tagging in at some point as well. I mean, Amy, Rob, and Chris were talking about having a twerk off on the show, and I said, no, we draw the line at that. But anyway, guys.
She's so good at it, though.
Good to have all of you here. So let's talk about She-Hulk Episode 3. We were talking earlier today on the show, on the John Campea Show, and I was saying that, you know, I have liked the show so far. Episode 1 I thought was a good start. Episode 2 had some really good things in it, but I just felt dissatisfied at the end. Like, it was just a matter of the moment I felt like it started, it ended. And that wasn't necessarily the number of minutes. It's just the way it was structured and everything. And I just kind of felt dissatisfied, even though I still, enjoyed what I saw. But, up until this point, She-Hulk hadn't become the show that I kind of envisioned it being when they announced it until this episode. This episode to me is the manifestation of what I think the promise of the show is and the way it should be and the way it was done. Because you remember, I think you were there when I said, I'm looking forward to the comedy really getting more back into it. Because right now it feels like kind of standard MCU fare with jokes thrown in. This one felt like in its nature, it was a comedy show.
Yeah.
And it was working for me on that level, like very much. I liked the characters more. They fleshed out even like Pug. We got more fleshed out Pug, all the other characters there. They followed through with the Emil stuff, with the Abomination stuff. It got into the legal drama. Actually, we had 2 court cases going on at once. One of my favorite fourth wall breaks too was at the end when Pug joins up at the bar and they go, ooh, A and B storylines converging. That was brilliantly done. I like that a lot.
As a writer, when it happens for you, you're like, I'm so smart. Look at how I got the two to come together.
It was so, and both cases going on were great. Like, that was when they announced that we're going to be doing an Ally McBeal. Well, I mean, in my head, I said Ally McBeal style, but we're going to be doing this. And in my head, I'm thinking they're going to do an Ally McBeal Marvel thing. This is what I had in mind. I want to see court cases going on. I want to see the way her Hulkness gets in there. And we've been waiting to see about what's the through thread, if you will. And that got introduced in this one too. And then it got capped off with this beautiful cherry on top of a post-credit scene that I said on the John Campea Show earlier today, and I stand by it, is not just the best post-credit scene they've done in She-Hulk so far. I think it is there it is. It is a top 5, I think, post-credit scene in the MCU, period. Now, I'm going to call out Taylor for a second because my assistant, Taylor, he said, I can't remember when, it might have been even last week. Taylor said, when Megan Thee Stallion's on, do you think we could see She-Hulk twerking? And I said, no. We're not going to see, we might see Megan Thee Stallion twerking, but I don't think we're going to see She-Hulk twerking. And then this damn post-credit scene came up, and I laughed my fool ass off. Anne had gone to bed already. I'm sitting in the theater room watching this thing. It's like 12:30 at night, and I just start laughing hysterically out loud. Like, I could not believe it. And then, as if the twerking stuff wasn't hilarious enough on its own, when Megan Thee Stallion says, you're better than all my other lawyers. And then in this really dead serious voice, Jennifer says, I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion. And she's like, whoa, reel it in, okay. Bring it back. Have you ever done that where you're laughing really hard at something and then something happens that compounds it and you start laughing even harder you start gasping for air?
I went full Muttley. I just started being like, just breath.
I was gasping for air at that point. Like I just couldn't believe it. And I rewound it and watched it again and again. And it was pretty damn funny. So just general feeling, your general overall kind of look and the biggest things that stood out to you about last night's episode. And what did you think in general?
I love this one. I'm so surprised that so many people who initially reviewed the first 4 episodes said that 3 and 4 were they kind of petered off for them. And I think Amy nailed this earlier today on the John Campea Show, is that it's a very subjective type of humor, right? This
as is all humor.
Well, yeah. But when you're getting very meta and fourth wall breaking and having very inverse jokes, it can get a little dodgy for some people. And I love this kind of stuff. I think it's great. The pop culture references, the light elf showing up and just being so weird.
She was
I want
really
an entire
fun.
spin-off show about her.
I love Runa. I think she is a treasure. I think she's great. Seeing the wives show up and then just all the Easter eggs we got in this one. I mean, we have that joke about her original origin story with was it a mafioso hit gone wrong, Jennifer? And then having the wrecking crew show up, which I never thought we'd
which
see
was
that.
so funny.
I really love this one, and I think it just ticked a lot of boxes. If you're an actual comic book fan, like if you really like the Sensational She-Hulk run, I think this is a really great episode for you. If you're just looking for that kind of Ally McBeal comedy like you were talking about, this is a fantastic episode. I loved it.
Amy, what do you think about the episode now that we can talk a little more openly about it?
Like I said on the main show, I think I certainly liked it the most of the 3. I've been enjoying this show and not loving it. And honestly, that's almost been frustrating me a little because it's like, this ticks so many of my boxes. Like, it's funny and it's sharp and I like her so much. Like, honestly, sometimes when they have her as She-Hulk, I'm just like, oh, but I miss seeing like that actress. She's absolutely killing it. And it's yet to jump into a full, I love this. And for me, even like a little bit of the writing, some of the jokes hit a little better than others. And it's true, all comedy is subjective. I think the bigger thing is it's a type of comedy that can veer into like cringy. You know, because there's comedy where it's like, if it doesn't work for you, it's just like, I didn't think that joke was funny. And this is like going for a type of humor. And I think we've seen already with a lot of, you know, folks in the chat and stuff saying like, I thought this was cringy. I thought this was awful. It's a comedy you either kind of really dig or it really, if it doesn't land, it just doesn't land at all. I think the hit rate was a lot higher. Like I said on the main show, I think just sort of the world of it, the humor of it really works well for me. Like not even the big jokes, but just like some of these performances just have such fun, quirky little nuance to them in a way that's just like, that character didn't really say anything funny, but I'm glad they've been here in this scene because they were just kind of a delight to watch. And honestly, I will say one of my big takeaways was like, all right, how long till Megan Thee Stallion gets one of those like great rom-com-y best friend roles? And suddenly we're all going, oh, like this made me want to see her do more comedy. Like even just anytime she was just doing her little like, absolutely was dying. Like I thought she was really more fun and fun to watch than I thought she was going to be even.
On the main show, too, you pointed out this really cute moment, like there were little things.
Yeah.
I love that moment where Jennifer just corrects the microphone and is like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's little details like
so
that
nice.
that really expose personality that I like a lot. Okay, so let's go over some of the details. So obviously coming off of last week, we're getting into the Abominations. Not his trial, it's his parole hearing. And like we were all saying, well, her number one argument is going to have to be, regardless of how he got out. Like I didn't know they were going to go the route of, you know, that Wong took him out against his will. But just the whole idea, we were all saying last week that her argument's got to be he voluntarily came back. Like he was putting himself back into prison and so she went that way, which is great. I loved, as Wong is explaining to the parole board about what happened, is saying none of this was Emil's fault. I'm like, you're kind of admitting that you broke somebody out of prison. And sure enough, they didn't let that slide. They have the parole guy say at the end, but Mr. Wong, you've just openly admit in a hearing that you broke somebody in prison. I love Wong's response. I must go now.
Yeah.
And then he just opens the door and walks through. It's like the piddly cares of the muggle world do not concern me.
I broke your laws. Gotta go. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme.
I must go now. I loved that so much. Yeah. I don't know if I dig from a pure MCU storytelling point that, well, I just needed a good opponent, so I went and broke somebody out of prison. I really can think of a better reason why he was there with Abomination, but whatever, that's fine. So I love seeing that. And then they gave us a second legal thing going on with Pug representing the douche. And that I got to tell you, when I first realized, oh, we're going to have 2 cases going on at once, I'm not really interested in this pug case with the douche. But I loved it. I was laughing all the way through it. I thought it was great. It reminded me of the old Boston Legal, Ally McBeal kind of thing, then where the lawyers all come together at the end to kind of recap what was going on. It just, last week's episode, I said it comes to an end and I felt dissatisfied, right? And I did. But this week it ended and I felt completely satisfied. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And then, of course, there's the big thing. The boss is going to be upset. So clearly the plan was to jump Jennifer in the alley, get a sample of her blood, and that was what the whole thing was about. And obviously that didn't work. They needed to stick her with the needle before she hulked out. So it brings up the question, who's the boss? And I think I'm thinking what probably most of you guys are thinking as well.
Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
Why do you think
Tony Danza.
Tony Danza?
Love him on Here's the Boss.
You mix them
That was
together.
the remake of Who's the Boss.
Who's the
Hold me
Cheers?
close, Tony Danza. All right, so people have asked before, do we think like we've got Abomination back? Are we going to get the leader? And I've been saying, I don't see that. But who else is out looking for her blood that could be connected to the Hulk on-screen Hulk lore? It's the leader. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be. I haven't heard anybody say that it is or that he's going to be in this. And again, Oh Brother, We're Out There actor. I keep forgetting the actor's name.
Oh, I always blank on him.
I cannot remember the name of the actor who played thing, but I love him in Oh Brother, We're Out There. Anyway, so I'm just
Tim Blake Nelson.
What's that?
Tim Blake Nelson.
So that's the only thing I have in mind. I'm going through there's other theories too, right? Like maybe it's Baron Zemo. Okay, but being that kind of thing on the screen has not really been what Baron Zemo is. Like I get there's some parts in comic book history that he can do stuff like that. That doesn't seem to be the Baron Zemo that we've had so far. But you can't discount that. That's a possibility. One idea that some people have mentioned is Kingpin. But again, getting into genetics and all that kind of stuff is not something our on-screen Kingpin has ever been. But then again, this is a different on-screen Kingpin. Maybe this Kingpin has always dabbled in biology and chemistry and whatever, unlike the one that we had in the Daredevil series. So maybe it's a Kingpin. I'm kind of reaching a little bit at who else it could be. I don't know. When you heard them say the boss is going to be upset, do you have an instant name that comes to mind? And are there a list of options you can think of who it might be?
Well, the crew's already vastly different from how they appear in the comics, so that kind of throws a wrench in things, right? Because these guys we mugged an Asgardian construction crew, whereas in the comics, when they first appeared in the 1970s, they picked up like an enchanted crowbar and they all got imbued with powers.
Yeah.
But those guys have been employed by multiple people throughout the comics, including Mr. Sinister, which makes sense for doing blood samples, right?
Oh, completely. If the X-Men were in the universe already, I can't see them introducing X-Men as a side Mr. Sinister character in a She-Hulk Disney Plus show. But if they had been there already, that would be perfect.
It'd be great. They've also worked for Damage Control in the past too, and we already saw Damage Control in Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could kind of be bridging our gap, but then we need to have a main person at Damage Control.
Yeah, there's
not that
boss.
Yeah, because we right now have had a few crummy cops who work there, but we haven't had this iconic person who's pulling the strings at Damage Control. And I don't think it'd be Titania because her whole thrust is she's some kind of influencer.
She's a social media influencer.
And so I don't think that would be her. So I'm really confused on it. I know a couple other people too have said maybe it's Dr. Doom, but again, I don't think that's the way you introduce Victor.
And I don't think Victor Von Doom uses the Wrecking Crew.
No. So I'm kind of at a loss. Right now, for me, the strongest connection is Damage Control. I'm just wondering if then we see that somebody like the leader is working with them. Or heck, even Emil is on the side or something.
But even the Damage Control so far, as they've been portrayed in Spider-Man No Way Home and in Ms. Marvel, has really been more about law enforcement. I mean, are they also a group of mad scientists here that they're trying to get blood samples and try to figure out how to...
Maybe now after that huge kerfuffle, that very big PR nightmare, now they're trying to learn more about these metahumans.
Okay. I could see that. Thoughts though quickly on Any possibility of this being the leader, Tim Blake Nelson?
I mean, that thread is wide open, right? We ended with that goofy little thing of everything dripping on his brain and him transforming. So I do think there's a possibility. I hesitate to go over 50% though.
Okay, yeah, I hesitate to go over 50% either. I just think it would probably be my biggest possibility. I'd probably peg it at about 25.
Yeah.
Amy, who are they talking about? When they say the boss that wants She-Hulk's blood so badly, who are they talking about?
I know it doesn't feel like it makes total sense, but I'm not convinced it's not Titania. I just feel like we established her so briefly. You've got such a good sort of beloved actress in that role. You got to bring her back somehow. Do you really bring up a bigger bad and then scooch her back in? Because she's got to come back. That couldn't have been everything.
That's true.
So I'm not 100% convinced they're not going to bring her back in that way.
Well, I'm sure they're going to bring her back. I mean, just the other day, Marvel put out this big social media promotion for it where they had Jamil walking around LA in her Titania costume, finding She-Hulk billboards and posters and spray painting over She-Hulk, right? So they promoted her a lot before the show came out. We saw her for 30 seconds at the end of episode 1. They did the big promos, all this kind of stuff, and we haven't seen her since. I mean, she's 100% coming back.
Yeah.
100%. But are they going to say there's another layer to her where she's actually the one trying to get... Because remember, I mean, to your point, she beat the shit out of her in one punch. Like, she took her out in one punch. So maybe she's like, I got to figure this out. I need, how do I get that kind of power?
I'm going to call the shot. I don't have a ton to back it up, but I'm going to call that shot that I think it's her.
All right. I'm still going to stick with the leader. And you're going to stick with damage control.
Yeah. I also, in the chat, Dr. J just suggested Val. Val's the big boss.
You know what?
And I think there could be merit to that.
That's not a bad idea. But that brings up a really good point that I totally forgot about. One of the big surprises to me in this episode was, I think all of us thought when in last week, Abomination is talking about, or Emil is talking about how his 7 soulmates, right? Got the thing. We all thought, they're talking about why am I freezing on the name of them now?
Like the 10 Rings or someone was doing it?
No,
That's
no,
what
no,
the
Thunderbolts.
Oh, the Thunderbolts, yeah.
Like, we were all thinking, that it's Thunderbolts. That's going to be, okay, so who are the 7? But no, it's the Midsommar cast. The cast of Midsommar has come back and then. So I was like, okay, I was surprised by that. I thought for sure that was a Thunderbolts reference. Apparently it wasn't. Okay, so that got me a little bit by surprise. Yeah, so let's do this quick. Before we go over to the live questions, I want to just ask for our favorite moment, and I'm going to take the post-credit scene off the table because I think all of us across the board would probably say the post-credit scene. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you. If you had to say what was your favorite moment of this episode, what would you say that moment was?
I think it'd have to be a tie between the YouTube kerfuffle that was all the actual critical reviews, like the critiques of She-Hulk.
Oh my God.
I thought that was so well done. Plus there was an Easter egg in that featured Gideon, who's Sam Wilson's brother-in-law in the comics, I think. So that was really cool. Or how smug Jennifer got to be when she was on the stand against Dennis. I love that moment of her just going, he is perpetually entitled. He is.
Yeah,
I loved all of that.
Egotistical, blah, blah. By the way, I'm so glad you brought up that one point because we didn't the showrunners of She-Hulk know that certain elements of online fandom are so predictable that they put out everything that, sure enough, some elements of the online fandom have said, and they put it all in there in advance. I thought that was pretty clever. Amy, for you, if you take away the post-credit scene, what would you think is your favorite moment?
Would it be cheating? Because even before that, something about Megan Thee Stallion's, when I forget exactly, but it's just there's only one me.
When she's in the courtroom.
Absolutely got me.
Live tweeting.
Yeah, that was really fun. Either that or just all the stuff with the shapeshifter I thought was just an absolute delight and just fun and silly and just totally a fun tone to really be hitting with this show.
Mine, I think, has to be when Pug and I keep forgetting the douchebag's name.
Dennis the douche.
When Pug and Dennis are first conferencing about the case, and he's like, "You actually thought that you got Megan Thee Stallion. And the line that particularly got me was, what was the make of car?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Passat.
The Passat. So you really thought Megan Thee Stallion would be driving a Passat? Really? I don't know why. That just absolutely cracked me up. It completely cracked me up. I loved it. Anyway, guys, listen, we're going to spend the rest of the time now just going over to you and hearing from you about what you thought of the episode, what you saw, what were your favorite parts, what was the parts that stood out to you the most, all that kind of stuff. But before we do that, we're going to head over and hear from a sponsor of the John Campea Show channel, our friends at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.
And thank you once again to Mint Mobile. Remember, guys, when you use Mint Mobile, it helps out you and it helps out us. So we really appreciate that. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds. All right. We now are joined by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Rob, before we get into everyone's questions, can you tell us briefly what you thought about this episode of She-Hulk?
It was twerk-tastic.
It was.
No, you know, I have to say, I'm a little lukewarm on it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but I wanted more. I mean, everything we thought, like the Emil Blonsky, Wong showed up, but it wasn't like funny. He was
really?
earnest.
Okay.
And I wanted to see, I wanted a little bit more absurdity. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Sure.
I mean, but I enjoyed the episode. I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I love the plot is unfolding in an interesting way. And I think that the show is kind of fighting itself. On one hand, we thought it was going to embrace the sitcom, but it's also trying to be very earnest in terms of telling a MCU superhero story.
Ooh.
And I wish that they had gone more funny.
Okay, so for you just need the antics kind of upped? Or...
Well, I mean, I think it's trying to do two things. I think it's trying to tell, I really do like the superhero MCU story it's telling. I'm intrigued by it. But sometimes then the humor gets in the way. If they had just gone absurdist and funny, I think it might have been more groundbreaking, but they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. But I am liking it. I mean, I'm wildly entertained by it.
Okay, well, that's good. Hopefully next week you get some funkier stuff happening in there.
It's funny because it leaves a smile on my face, but a tepid smile.
I like that you watch a She-Hulk twerk with Megan Thee Stallion and go, this could be weirder.
Well, I mean, now that was, look, at the end of the night, I have to say I watched it. What was it? I'd forgot. It was like I was working on this Designing Hollywood show, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like 12:20. And so I started watching it. I was a little late, but it was close to midnight, 12:50. What was it, 20 or 18 minutes, whatever. And when the twerking happened, I kind of got up and did a little twerk just because I needed
Wish we had a live stream of that.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Sugar. So, yeah.
Get
Anyway.
those moves in.
I don't know what that all means.
Yeah, that's now an image that's going to be burned in my brain that I don't want to ever think about again.
Rob, would you say you were twerking hard or hardly twerking?
No, I was twerking hard. I never hardly twerk. I'm committed.
Well, on that note, let's get to your live questions. We've got the super chats going. Rob, what are we starting off
Well,
with?
we're hearing from Samuel Shin. Says, I'm enjoying it. It's oddly corny and cringe in a good way. The Wrecking Crew. Never thought I'd see them in live action. Did any of us?
Right? We were talking about that earlier of just in what world did you think that magical powers bestowed by a crowbar were going to show up in the cinematic universe?
But see, that's the thing. It's happening, but it seems normal. Mm-hmm. I want it to be more, it needs a little bit more James Gunn.
You don't like them just like robbing an Asgardian? You wanted the, I have a crowbar.
I don't know.
Dirk getting it? What's his last name? Dirk Gahende? Something weird. Bless me. All right.
Sam Fisher says, like the running gag of taking off the shoes before a fight. Jen did it in episode 1. Emil did it here. And we see a shot of Jen's shoes break at the end.
It's good logistics. Shoes don't stretch.
Exactly.
You know, not since the first season of Sex and the City have I cared more about women's shoes than I do.
I will say, does it bother anyone else? I like the detail that her suit is a little too big, but it's not big enough.
Right.
That drove me a little crazy of unless it is spandex, because we did establish spandex, but it's just like if you're going to do the big suit, I guess they felt it would be distracting if they went big enough. Maybe. But it's like that should be off her hands.
She just looks like a kid at Take Your Daughter to Work Day then instead of just like, I'm a businesswoman. Mm-hmm. What else we got?
Adrian Foley says, the elf stuff was pointless to the plot, I thought.
It was the B plot.
It was the B plot, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Personally.
And personally, it's something I like about this show, that not everything is serving like a big MCU, what does this all tie into plot? That we're doing a bit more of a, here's like the fun, silly little lawyer adventure B plot we're on this week, personally.
But also, you know, these are shenanigans. If you're a superhero or you're an Asgardian and you have powers, you can do some weird stuff regarding the legal system.
Exactly. I think we all would like to think we'd be highly moral with our superpowers, but if you're a shapeshifter, I'm going to run up and be like, no, I'm free from this court case. Boop, boop, bye. And then try to, swindle people out of things and get myself a Passat. What else we got?
Okay.
You got
okay,
this.
guys, don't laugh. Ilif Barazali. You know what? Barasli. It's Barasli. Wong has a LinkedIn profile. I wonder if any of the Avengers had one. Laugh out loud. Tony Stark had one.
Oh, for sure he did. I love the detail on that LinkedIn profile, though. He was at Target for 9 years? Ooh, that's commitment. I love that. What else?
Backstory. Sam Fisher says, I like the references to her mob hit origin story.
Yes. I got excited about that. Rob, what did you think when you heard that? Was that like a funny story?
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it seems like all the absurdity is the undercurrent. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the undertow. It's not the wave. And I guess I'm looking for more of that because I think they're trying to they want to tell an MCU story and at the same time be funny and different, but they're still sort of constrained by the MCU of it all. But I still find it wildly entertaining.
That's great.
I enjoy it.
Good. I'm so glad.
Aiden Foley says, I'm cool with this show being a legal comedy, but I thought those were supposed to be funny typically. I'm glad people are having fun with it, though.
Ooh, so as in this is just kind of run-of-the-mill comedy for you?
I think just saying it's a comedy, but they don't find it funny.
It needs Alan Shore.
Oh, okay. That'd be a fun addition to...
You know? I mean, what if Ultron became a lawyer?
I mean, hop, skip, and a jump. Not too far off. Well, hopefully you'll start enjoying it more, Aiden. What else do we have?
Alex Von Gollum says, the legal implications of the superheroes' lifestyle decisions are turning out to be so hilarious. I want to see how they prosecute the Sorcerer Supreme.
I love that moment. I'm just, bye.
I mean, he was so earnest. Mm-hmm. Wong was so earnest. And I wanted him to be funnier.
Yeah? I mean, Wong's not a chuckle-a-minute guy.
But he's kind of funny.
He is. I think the earnestness is where that comes from, for me at least.
But he did show up.
Yeah.
I thought Wong was hilarious and totally, he was being hilarious while staying in character.
You know, it's true.
And I love that.
It's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong because I love, first of all, it is Wong's phase.
Yeah, it's the Wong CU.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we have next?
Sam Fisher says, this episode was definitely more of the weird cameo-filled lawyer show I think we were all looking for in episodes 1 and 2. That's absolutely true.
100%. I love that little moment, too, of the, we're going to see Wong, but this is my show.
Yeah.
It was really, really cute.
And I did like, I mean, I have to say that the Megan Thee Stallion thing was so out of left field that I did like it. And when she shows up, I thought it was, I laughed out loud, actually.
She did a great job.
I didn't expect that. I thought when we heard she was going to be in it, it would be different, but I love the way it was.
Yeah. It was exactly what I expect from Megan being in court. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. I did love that. Aiden Foley says, I would say that I'm enjoying the show for the most part, but I feel it has an identity crisis. I feel the show is fighting for the spotlight between being a legal comedy and exploring She-Hulk.
But that's the comics.
That is, John, you're right. That is spectacular She-Hulk.
Well, and you know, Rob, you've talked about how this is kind of the issue you're having with it, is it's trying to do both things. Amy, are you feeling that when you're watching it?
A little bit. I'm worried. I'm certainly worried because for me, I feel like so much of when the Disney Plus series don't work for me, it's because they lean away from what has made them unique. And I do worry that we are suddenly going to veer off into just, this just feels like generic Marvel sort of cut down with a lower budget for a TV show. For me, this is working because there's enough of that. Like, I would just watch a week to week, like, what does it mean to work in the legal system in a world where there are superheroes?
Yeah.
I just want like a fun episodic adventure about that, where it's just week to week, like, what wacky shenanigans is She-Hulk going to have to deal with this week?
I have to agree with you there. I think you're absolutely right about that. I just want them to lean into it a bit more.
Yeah, I'd
just
agree.
a bit more.
Hopefully this was our rev up.
I see it going the other way though, and I'm like, no, come back.
All right, what else do we have?
Hero75 says 1 of 2. I don't know why, but this episode it didn't work for me. I didn't find it that funny. I still like the show overall, and I will keep watching. But instead of watching She-Hulk and then Star Trek Lower Decks, I know. Sorry, I'm going to watch Lower Decks first, then She-Hulk, since that has been working better for me.
Yesterday you said that Lower Decks there was a funny episode.
You know what? I have to say this. I mean, I like Star Trek Lower Decks as a comedy parody show, but they want to have it. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say it's canonical to the Star Trek universe, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Why not?
Because it's not.
Well,
I said so.
You heard it here first, folks. The Arbiter is back. The Rometer. Oh no. All right.
Forgot about that.
What else we got?
James Argenta says, does Wong hire Matt now after admitting to a crime?
I mean, Matt does do a lot of pro bono work, so.
Wow, I mean, that could be interesting. What do you do when the Sorcerer Supreme is a felon?
I mean, I feel like the Sorcerer Supreme
Does
continues doing
Dormammu
whatever
like
he wants.
clap? Ha. I mean, what's going to happen there? I don't know.
Maybe.
A-Rod 2006 says, I adored this episode. My prediction is they're teasing Tim Blake Nelson's return as the leader. Who else would want her blood?
Well, that's what we were talking about. Do you think that it's the leader, Rob?
I kind of do.
Okay. For what?
I mean, because it would tie into things they've established, and it is part of the Hulk lore, I guess. And plus, Tim Blake Nelson's awesome.
That is true. I always forget his name, and I feel so bad. He's such a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
always
it's
great
3
in
names.
movies.
You're like, is it Blake?
Any
Is it
single one of
Tim?
them could have been a first name.
Exactly.
That's right.
Where the
Nelson
confusion
Nelson
lies.
Blake Tim, who's to say?
What else do we have?
I think
we do
we
Alex?
missed.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Alex.
Alex Von Gollum says, I was dying during the scene of the LinkedIn profile of Wong. Several scenes were so hilarious, which is true. They were.
Absolutely.
So good.
I love those details on the show.
Daniel Vakura says, I hated the post-credit scene, and it was cringy. I have to say, I kind of got up and I did twerk.
Yeah.
For real.
Once
Like, I
again,
did.
you're gonna.
I did.
Once again, with no demonstration.
I'm not going to.
giving
You know what?
everyone that visual,
It'll
though, in
get
their
this show
minds.
demonetized, and subscribers will leave.
Too
and go.
hot for YouTube.
But
I can't
in
be
this
responsible
movie theater,
for that.
kids, you can keep it.
John has worked his ass off for decades to get here.
Yeah.
And if I twerk, everything.
You won't
And if
work
you
your
work
ass
your ass
off
off,
once.
No. Daniel Vercura says, the best friend isn't a real character in the show. I find her annoying and useless. I like episode 3 more than episode 2, but these abrupt endings to episodes stink.
Oh, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, Daniel, but obviously everything's subjective, so I get it. As someone who has auditioned for a lot of best friends, can I just say, usually the best friend character is fairly useless, and our role is to make you like the main character more. It's one of those things of, if that's her best friend, she must be a decent person, because your lead is usually not particularly charismatic. There's usually some kind of like thing that's wrong with them in rom-coms, right? Like Judy Greer as opposed to everyone else in something where she makes them like fun and likable and less uptight.
Yeah.
I was marveling. You're absolutely correct about that. I love Judy Greer.
I love her so much.
She's amazing.
But I think that's one of maybe the issues here is that right now she just kind of fills in some plot holes every now and then, or is just to be like, oh, Jen, that ship has sailed. I don't know. What do you think, Amy?
I like her. I feel like she needs a B plot.
Yeah.
She needs a B plot episode because I like her. I just every time it's sort of like, you're fun, but I can't quite figure out what your thing is. And I think I just haven't seen enough of her.
What if she's a villain?
I think she's a Skrull.
I think she's put there for a reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's a Skrull, but I think she's not on the up and up.
I think she's, what's her name? Gisela? The one that she goes bounty hunting with. I think that's who it's going to end up being. That's just me.
Oh, yeah.
That's me personally. But hey, no worries if you don't like that friend character right now.
Evelyn Jaquera Quiroz says, my favorite episode so far, Wong is always a win.
Wong for the win.
Wong for the win.
That's what I have cross-stitched.
Wonging instead of winning.
Oh, Wonging is great.
It doesn't work, but whatever. Damon Morton said, could the inhibitor tech developed for Bruce, and now the Abomination, eventually lead into X-Men in the future and the suppression of mutant powers?
Heckin' yes, it could.
That's
it's a whole X-Men plot.
It is a whole real plot.
Yeah.
In the comics.
All right.
Big Cookie says, Wong says he broke out Blonsky because he needed a worthy opponent to train to become the Sorcerer Supreme. But in No Way Home, Wong says he becomes Sorcerer Supreme in the blip. What's Wong hiding?
Ooh, well.
Is it intentional or is it just a little writing?
Well, I'm wondering if he's hiding something or if it's he wanted to take the necessary steps to be the best Sorcerer Supreme as opposed to just like, well, Steven's gone, so it's me. I don't know.
Well, he also could have been taking Blonsky out during the blip.
That's very true.
I mean, we don't know what the time frame is. Yeah. I'd have to go back to Shang-Chi and look. Because clearly in Shang-Chi, that wasn't their first rodeo.
No.
Yeah.
That was not their first Fight Club. So I could see them doing this during the blip.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. All right.
Tim Platt says, so how soon do you think we see Abomination again? Before, after, or during Thunderbolts? Surely that parole thing isn't going to stick.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but the moment it was and you will not appear as the Abomination.
Oh, I feel like by the end of the show.
Okay, yeah, where I was like, ooh, what a plot device.
Whatever you do, Emil.
Right?
I mean, I just feel that the character needs to be in the world.
Absolutely.
They can't just leave him in that ridiculous plastic prison cell like Magneto was.
Well, I mean, he's getting out. He just can't transform.
Right. Well, there you go. Wink, wink, nudge,
exactly.
nudge.
But he will.
I can't transform. Tim Platt says, I don't know if it was just his accent or his demeanor, but I was getting Korg vibes from Tim Roth this episode.
I think maybe that laid back kind of Zen attitude.
I think so too.
Yeah. We talked about this going into the episode, Rob, though, where you wanted more from Tim Roth in episode 2. How did you feel about him in this one?
I actually liked him. You know, I mean, I like that he was kind of embattled, but he's still kind of laid back. He's kind of like, he is the dude. Mm-hmm. You know, he is the Jeff Bridges, the dude. He is the big Lebowski of this show. Or at least it seems that way.
Writing haikus.
Yeah, man. If he was drinking, you know.
If he had a White Russian.
White Russian, it'd be the best.
I'd love that. All right.
Sam Fisher says, while the conceit of the end credit scene was funny, I'm not a fan of the song, so I was cringing. Well,
that's fair. I mean,
you don't have to like every song.
Exactly.
I mean, it is Megan Thee Stallion, so to have some kind of music-related something or other.
I I mean, twerking to silence is just uncomfortable. It's just a weird thing
Learn that
to
the
do.
hard way. Yeah.
Oh, you just get up and start twerking at church when there's dead silence. People look at you weird.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'll twerk with you again. I don't know how to twerk in the sounds of silence, but okay. Sam Fisher says, if this was Megan's first pro acting role, she did a good job. It's a bit part where she's just playing herself. She can now expand from here if she wants. I do have to say,
I really agree.
she was really good. She brought the comic timing. She was pretty hilarious. She had the attitude.
Yeah.
I want to see her in something like I don't know, even almost like LeBron in Trainwreck, where it's like you're kind of playing like a comedy version of it, like this but bigger. Like I feel like she could really thrive, like something where it's like she's playing herself, she's playing kind of a fictionalized version of herself. She obviously has a pretty good sense of humor about herself, and like I said, I think she kind of stuck the landing on a lot of that comedy.
Absolutely.
I agree. I agree. She was good.
Alrighty.
And she looks good. She's got a great, some people, you look at them and you're like, you don't belong on camera. But Megan Thee Stallion. No, but
she does. She has.
but she has-
I'm actually gonna agree with Rob on this one.
now hang on a second. What I mean to say is,
Does some people have a face for radio?
No.
Not even attractive or unattractive.
Yeah, there's really attractive people, but you look at them and you're like, there's something about like
Some people are
John Lithgow is not a very handsome guy. but
Compelling
he's
to look at.
He's an incredible presence on camera. You look at him, whether he's a serial killer, whether he's a director, whether he's on Third Rock from the Sun, whether he's playing a transvestite, transsexual in World According to Garp. He's an incredible performer, and he belongs on camera.
Right.
Megan Thee
There's
Stallion
photogenic people.
has that presence.
I think it's a magnetism, and I think presence is the way to do that.
That's
then,
what
right?
it is.
Yeah,
It's presence. I shouldn't say looks. I mean, I wasn't trying to diss anyone.
Oh, no,
but
no,
You know
I
what I
just-
mean?
Some people have a compelling on camera.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. And you can't
Features.
define it. And it's people. It's all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds. It doesn't matter. It's a compelling. What do you call it? Magnetism, a presence. That's what it is.
That
and
it
she has
factor.
that. She has that. I mean, and in a little tiny bit role, I want to see more of her.
Like I said, I smiled like every time she came on camera.
Totally. Now, do you think we'll see her again?
I hope not. As much as
Really?
I liked her, I think it would feel overdone.
Okay.
It's such a funny little way, unless it was like just a quick cameo.
I just want her to like FaceTime Jennifer now.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd
what if they
be
become
fun.
like
Hey, bitch.
besties?
Yeah.
I need some legal advice real quick.
I
would
thought
love
she was
that.
good. I mean, I'd like to see more of her.
I
Yeah.
loved her. What else we got?
Andy says, I really liked episode 3 the most, especially with how meta it got, but dear God, that mid-credit scene was a hella effing cringe.
I love how polarizing this scene is.
But it didn't, if it made you laugh, shouldn't it have been there? I thought it was funny.
I feel like just embrace the cringe.
Did you both dislike it, or did you
I
like
thought
it?
I liked it. I thought it was
great.
funny.
I thought it was funny.
I also am a human being though who like I don't experience secondhand embarrassment. I rarely experience firsthand embarrassment.
Well, that much is clear.
So when people say something's cringy, I'm usually just like, oh, that it makes you uncomfortable. Okay. And that's fine. And there's no judgment there. But I think that's another part of the subjectivity of comedy of, ooh, I hate that. Okay, get it. But like, I'm not experiencing that feeling of, ugh, that
But
you
it was
are.
good-natured.
I thought it was
It
fun.
was fun.
I think if it was in the middle of the episode, maybe, but it was in the post-credit
Yeah.
scene.
I put it very on par with the like Captain America fucks. Like I
Yeah.
think was
Well,
a
yeah.
similar level of just like, oh, it's fun. I didn't know I wanted that, but I kind of wanted
I
that.
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. Tim Platt says, Thor's inspirational speeches are not admissible in court. Dude, I almost died. Okay, I wanted more of that.
Yes.
That was hilarious.
That was such a good line. Everything that Judge got to do, I loved.
So good.
That's why I liked the B plot because there were so many wacky shenanigans.
I love a good wacky shenanigan.
So do I.
Sounds like a drink.
You want to go down to wacky shenanigans? It's a dollar beer night.
I would go there.
Honestly.
I'll have one wacky
Well, I
shenanigan.
think this after show is exactly how it should be.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Well, what else we got?
Suthius says, I love how every time Wong enters, he's accompanied by that serious, dramatic, mystical music, and the camera zooms in all serious and whatnot. Funny.
It is. I love that. Well, it's like that kind of leitmotif that you have too of just here's Wong's music.
Honestly, I think part of why he's such a beloved character in the MCU right now, for me at least, he's one of the few characters who's really kept like grounded in his world. Like one reason I feel like sometimes I don't love Doctor Strange as much as I want to is he's not as serious. He's not, and I know they're kind of different guys, but like I love that Wong really is just Wong, and it is that
He's such a
drama
curmudgeon.
every time he shows up. That he's not making like little quippy pop culture jokes. It's just like no, that's Wong.
Yeah, even when he's listening to Beyonce for the first time,
Yeah.
he's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is a Bob.
he's
Okay.
grounded in his truth so
Yeah.
wonderfully.
And you know what's funny? I mean, maybe it's because Wong has been a funny character. I mean, he sings karaoke with Shang-Chi. He wants to borrow money from Doctor Strange to buy some New York deli. And in this, they've really played him straight.
Yeah.
They went, I mean, this is the time when you think, okay, he's going to be funny. But in playing him straight, it was funny.
He's so much funnier. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It's
I like
wonderfully
that.
done.
Ismail Montoya.
Yay!
Hello, Ismail. Over or under 50% Kingpin wants the She-Hulk blood. Ooh. By the way, this CGI was the worst of all the 3 episodes.
Ooh.
Was it?
I mean, I didn't feel that way, but I understand that, Ismail. I mean, there was a lot of CGI to be happening too. We had a lot of characters who had to transform.
I mean, the Abomination's a little goofy looking.
Yeah.
But I
Those little fish
look,
sides.
yeah, I think
just-
Jennifer looks great though.
Like
Yeah.
I said, I feel like if anything, I don't like her CGI partly just because I want to see Tatiana Maslany.
Right.
Like, because
Right.
she's so funny and She-Hulk just feels a little flat. We're losing some of that because she can make me laugh without a line. She's
Yeah.
so expressive and we lose so much of that expressiveness when she's She-Hulk. That's what really bothers me.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's interesting. It's funny because I see more of Mark Ruffalo in Hulk than I see of Tatiana in She-Hulk.
Yes.
You know what I
yes,
mean?
100%.
Which is so wild because it is. I mean, just so much of her is there, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, like when I'm looking at Professor Hulk, I see Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, that makes
I don't know
sense.
what that means, but-
do you guys think that it's going to be Kingpin who wants the blood? I don't. That's me personally.
I think no.
I don't think so either.
Okay. Well, cool. What else we got?
Although I would like to see a Kingpin Hulk.
That'd be
I
great.
mean, come on. Tim Platt says, gotta hand it to this show. I went from wanting to punch Dennis every time he was on screen to laughing at his complete idiocy. I gotta agree with. I
Yeah.
gotta.
They
agree with
leaned
that.
in well.
Yeah.
Like just playing him kind of sexist and annoying, it was getting like, all right, this is a little on the nose. And it's like, yeah, just lean in and make him like kind of a crazy person.
I mean, I just love the fact that he thought he had a shot with
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion.
And then doubled down on it.
Yeah,
So
it's-
should I go back and talk to the real one? Because
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I love that hubris. I think it's wonderful.
Dr. J says, I'm happy with the She-Hulk CGI. It would have to be Scorpion King or Arnie's fake head in Total Recall bad. Hey, that wasn't CGI. That was an actual physical effect to take me out of the storyline.
I'm kind of with you here, Dr. J. The CGI has to be atrocious
Yeah.
for me to notice that. But also, I am but a humble actor, and I know a lot of post-production people are surely going, I could have done this better, or this could have been tweaked.
If we were spending less time with the CGI, it wouldn't bother me. It's just that we do spend so much time with that as our main character
Right.
that I feel pickier than I usually am.
That's fair.
But it is, I mean, it can't help. It'll never not be in the uncanny valley because of her height and her color.
Exactly.
So no matter how, I think the face CGI is actually really, really good, but because it's even the color green is not it wouldn't exist in nature, you know, but that's the Hulk. So
I'm not a CGI artist, but I do play one in the chat.
TJ Thomas says, some of those women
You don't
got
get
the
that?
Thor fever when they saw Abomination.
I know. I love all the weird, horny, like,
Just those
so
older women
fun.
being like,
They're
yeah,
thirsty
man.
for the Abomination.
Their little hand movements. The one who just keeps being like, from behind the glass, like, ooh, those pen pals. They were sending some steamy letters.
It makes me want to go to prison.
You could get a pen pal in a much easier way, Rob. Just
What if Rob didn't know that?
He's like, no, I have to commit a crime and
Yeah.
then pen pal program.
Terrible.
Oh man.
You know, Sam Fisher said theories on who this boss is: power broker, leader,
Ooh. Well, we were
See,
talking
that
about
was another
this
thing I was
earlier.
thinking. Power Broker could be one.
Yep.
That's very true. That'd be a good one. Leader makes sense just because of the open thread, but I don't know. Power Broker's a good idea.
Or Shang-Chi's sister.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the big ones.
From-
Okay.
You got this.
Eilif
Barasley.
Barasley.
Yeah.
Eilif Barasley. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like the show, but this episode was kind of
It seems like that's how people are feeling. They either really enjoyed this one or are meh on it.
And you know what? I like that. Make something unique enough to be divisive.
And the world would be really boring if we all had the same opinion.
But I'll take that over just feeling like, yeah, it was another like MCU action thing. It was pretty good. It wasn't great, but that people either kind of love this or hate this. I'm like, let's get more of that, especially on these TV shows. We have so much time and well, not so much time, but we have so many series at least that like, yeah, this one doesn't have to be your thing. There's 8 other ones on Disney Plus right now you can watch. So
Well said.
But I do want to thank Eilif Barasley for being such a great supporter of the channel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, we appreciate you.
Sam Fisher says, I like the idea of Wong being a fugitive. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to go.
just anytime there's a problem, just
Bye-bye. I mean, he could be like, you know what I was doing last week? I was helping like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse
Yeah.
of Madness take on Scarlet Witch.
And they're like, no, Wong.
No,
Broke the
but
law.
nobody would believe him.
No.
Sad. Lady Jennifer Snow says, as someone who had to Google who Megan Thee Stallion was, most of this episode was lost on me.
Hey, that's okay. So you're part of what's called the Lucky 10,000. For everything that's part of the pop cultural zeitgeist, there are about 10,000 people who don't know about it. And that's a really cool thing to be a part of. So then you get to learn about a new thing and see if that part of pop culture is your jam.
sorry you ruined it for yourself. Now you're out of that 10,000.
Oh, I just want to say I really appreciate somebody actually taking the effort to go
Google?
educate themselves
Yeah.
about something that's, out in the world. So good on you.
Yeah, I
Congrats.
love that. I think
But there's
that's
only like 10,000 to 1. It's a ratio, or there's only
It's
10,000?
a concept that was in one of those XCD comics a while ago where it's just like, hey, if you ever, like, if you're a person who hasn't seen Star Wars or if you're a person who doesn't know about this, instead of approaching those fandoms or those people who don't know about them with a, I can't believe you don't know that, it's a, oh, this is so cool. Now you get to learn about and experience this pop culture thing for the very first time.
Well, that's why all those like movie watching, like reaction channels are so big now.
Exactly,
Oh, yeah.
All these people who have never seen something, and then you get to experience like watching it for the first time with somebody.
Exactly, because that's what the magic is gone the first time, right? After you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, if I could go back and
It's
watch
the same
Star
with music.
Wars. Yeah,
Like I wish I could rediscover an album, but
exactly.
it's here.
And by the way, how much fun is it to be able to show somebody something that you love that they've never seen?
It's the best.
Unless they're on their phone during it, and then it's hell.
Then-
Smack
then-
them
that's
on the
how-
other hand.
Or like watch them react. Like I want to see Aaron and Chris react to Neil's The Descent.
I'm gonna give you nothing. I'm gonna have just a dead face the whole time. Be like, this is fine.
I've literally never seen you had a dead face in your life.
I could never be a secret
Yeah,
agent.
no.
I'm constantly broadcasting. Woof.
Play
What else
dead.
do we
She's
got?
still smiling. Play dead. She's still smiling.
TJ Thomas says Megan got tongue game. She-Hulk got twerk game.
Wow.
I laughed every time she did that tongue thing.
It's true. That was fun.
I mean, you got to give it up
Yeah.
for the CG artists twerking. Can
That
you
had to
imagine
be a fun.
What are we called upon to do today? Well, I mean, imagine.
We need to make some 3D renderings of twerking today.
Wow, yeah.
I'll be in the office. I love it.
Sam Fisher says, so I guess the 7 soulmates weren't the Thunderbolts. No, they
No.
weren't.
No. I mean, maybe.
You never
We
know.
could have those 7 ladies just kicking a lot of ass. Midsommar, people got gruesome. They could do some stuff.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, that could happen. Tim Platt says that post-credit scene, hashtag bring on the filthy, indeed.
Hell yeah.
I agree.
It was just like silent.
We just went somewhere. We were like,
All like,
yeah.
oh.
I forgot this was a audio medium for a second. I
Right,
just shrugged.
right. We don't
I
have,
was like, yeah,
it's
fine.
we waited to hear. Great, what's next? Not more twerking. Aiden Foley says mocking toxic fans at the start was pretty good. I did like that.
I liked that part. I was saying too. I wanted to like her speech in the first episode more than I did. I think she did a good job with it, and I'm not. Lord knows I'm not coming at this going feminism. Like I think it was. I totally love that they were making these points, but her like when I get catcalled when this and that happens felt a little on the nose. just felt a little like, get it? This is what we're doing. And I like that this felt so much more like within the reality of like, yeah,
Right.
of course that's what would happen if the She-Hulk existed. It's what happened when the fictional She-Hulk was announced.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I thought it was just a really good in-universe way to do that.
Sam Fisher says, Dennis is an idiot. And I love Pug.
I knew I liked Pug when he had the bathroom map, so I'm
Yeah.
glad we're getting more Pug.
Yeah, we got to have
That
more
was
Pug.
great.
Pug's a heavy hitter, I think.
And Dennis
There's
is
more to
idiot.
Pug than meets the eye
There
or
is.
his maps.
Yeah.
Daniel Vakura says, the show tonally fits Love and Thunder, but not the rest of the MCU to me. I'm glad that the Seven Soulmates wasn't a Thunderbolts reference, since everything isn't a reference. People should stop with that. Look, the thing is, the MCU has set us up to expect references. I mean, it is all very interconnected. So we have been trained like Pavlov's dog to expect these things and like, it's Mephisto. We don't know. You know what I mean? And so I think it's like it is part of what the MCU is. So they have to realize that. I don't think this is as silly as Love and Thunder.
No.
I think they've actually kept this show. I don't think this is strange to say. I don't think it would work as well if it was silly as Love and Thunder. I thought Love and Thunder was too silly.
I'm with you on that. I would like this to be a little weirder.
But weirder, but not
But
silly.
not silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absurd. I think absurd is the way to do
Well,
it.
and I don't know. I don't know if I like love the idea that everything has to fit a Marvel vibe. Again, it's
True.
there's so much at this point. I don't want everything to fit a Marvel vibe. I'm going to get so goddamn burnt out. I want this to feel like completely its own thing.
Yeah.
But I think WandaVision, like the first 3 episodes of WandaVision were so out there, and the fact that using that was so alien to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that it really worked. And then it wasn't when episode 4, when they introduced Sword, and suddenly it's like, oh, here's the real world, and here's what's going on outside of this crazy town that Scarlet Witch has created. I thought it really worked that way. And I think this show is still trying to figure out its identity or wondering where it's at, because they haven't torn open the screen yet. Like She-Hulk
That's what I
hasn't
want.
walked through and said, hey, all of you people that are streaming this on Disney
I
Plus.
want a charming version of The Ring. That's all I want.
Well, right.
Sweet. That'd be
You
great.
said that yesterday.
I don't want her to do that. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm. What's
She just
next?
bursts through your TV and starts twerking.
That
Well,
would be
that,
fine.
I've been waiting for that my whole life. Brendan M says, Wong seemed hungover, I think. Wonder what he's got going on. Episode was great. Felt like the show that we expected.
I don't know about you, but when I'm hungover, I'm not doing any magic.
Yes, you are.
Oh,
Come on
you
now.
sweetie. I also wouldn't show up to court and be like, let me tell you the facts. I'd be like, oh no.
Probably true. Josie Reviews says, we need shorts of Wong as the target associate on Disney Plus.
That would be delightful.
That would be amazing. Like Wong. What a great tie-in. That I would love to see that. Wong at Target. Dangerous Lee says, first, just wanted to say a genuine thank you to you for all that you guys do. Your content is like food for my mental health, and I'd like to give y'all your flowers. She-Hulk episode 3 was fire. Cheers.
Dangerously, that's really, really sweet. Thank you so much. Aw. Anytime y'all want to give us flowers, that's sweet.
A longtime watcher of the channel, Empire Fan 1980 is here. He says, they say, I like this episode. Wasn't a fan of the after credits screen because I have no idea who Megan Thee Stallion is. Tried mozzarella sticks. Oh no. I tried mozzarella sticks and sour cream, and I loved it.
I feel like we just got Rick rolled with a super chat.
Yeah.
He was going one direction, and
then we heart
never gonna
left.
give you a. Oh.
You know what? The thing about this is that John Campea will be insufferable. In 20 years, John's going to be like, I was right about those mozzarella sticks.
No, I do like mozzarella strips. That's their burlesque name.
Wow. Dr. J says, she twerk. Best post-credit scene ever. Also, I think the person trying to steal Jen's blood is the leader, Samuel Stearns, from the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah. A lot of people feel the same way, Dr. J. So time will tell if it is the leader.
Could be.
Blood.
Be fun. I wonder if he's funny. And does the
Ooh.
leader twerk?
I think everyone does, at least in their hearts.
I think we do too. I mean, not even in my heart. Don Williams says, not to brag, but I jokingly said to a friend before the show that Wong's first solution to the situation would be a mind wipe spell. The prophet is here.
Well done, Juwan. I loved that bit too, of just kind of going, I'm not going to do that again.
No.
That was a lot of work. I thought that was great.
I enjoyed it immensely.
Good job calling it out.
Motassem says, yeah, that post-credit scene was cringe to me, but I'm glad it worked for y'all. The rest of the episode was the best one so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, we're divided on the twerking, but one day twerking could unite us all.
Here's my
One
problem.
day.
Why
In
do
my
we live in a
America.
world where anyone's against twerking?
I don't know. Maybe if it was a different song. Maybe if it was a different moment.
You got two lovely ladies twerking. Why is there a downside to this?
I don't know.
I don't either.
All right.
Maybe it's the song. I don't know.
Maybe.
Sam says, my favorite episode so far, the perfect fourth wall breaking. This is the comedy plus lawyer show I was looking for. First time I've watched Maslany. She's great.
Oh, Sam, go look up more of her work. She's incredible. Orphan Black?
By the way, I'm sitting at John's desk. I would be remiss if I don't point out that she is a good Canadian kid.
Oh, well done. Look at you looking out for the boss.
Looking out for the boss.
I'm really glad they're not overusing those fourth wall breaks because I think they're delightful.
No,
but
those
they
should
could
be a
so
mainstay. Those should just be all the time. Like,
The entire episode.
not the entire. I just mean like for the whole series. Like,
yeah.
let's
Oh,
not-
yeah. But like a couple per episode.
yeah. Not
They're,
like-
they're
Yeah.
sprinkled in nicely, and I just feel like that's one that could so easily get overdone.
Absolutely. Especially in a post Fleabag world. Mm-hmm. What else we have?
Oilers Workshop says, bring on the snoo stew.
Yeah.
That is all.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
I feel like we got to get it at some point. I
We
feel like this show's
will.
pushing the envelope just
Yeah.
enough that
Well,
it's inevitable.
We've seen that she's
It
on
is
Tinder.
inevitable.
She's going to be swiping.
Wait, can I ask what a snoo snoo is?
There's a Futurama episode.
Yeah. Where it's large.
We're one of the 10,000.
They're large
Two of the
Amazonian type
10,000.
women on this planet. They're only women, and they can kill men with death by snoo snoo, which is aggressive sex.
Yep.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That was not intentional.
It's not that easy. Shockwave says, I wish I had a friend like Nikki after this episode. Surprisingly, she's been a main highlight for me, and I want more of her. Also, thanks for all you do.
Aw, thanks, Shockwave. Well, it's interesting that we have different people feeling differently about the best friend too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like the best friend trope. I think she's, well, there's more to her than meets the eye, and we'll find out what that is.
she's gonna be a scroll. I'm gonna look so dumb when she's not.
Mike's Movie Madness says, not sure what shocked me more, Hulk dabbing or She-Hulk twerking. No, it's still Hulk dabbing. Ha 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 ha.
I love how like that moment is too, of just the listen to your mom, she knows better. Like everything he does as Professor Hulk the first time is so great.
I just love the
so
fact that
douchey.
superheroes can be, out of touch as well. A little
Yeah.
goofy. I like that.
They're just like us.
Take him down a peg. Mike's Movie Madness says, oh, I already did that one. Matthew Carter says, Megan Thee Stallion was hilarious.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, loved her. Want more of her.
And closing out with
Closing
some
out once
power
again,
support.
Ray Ora disses the entire show and all the talent here
Ray deep pockets
with,
aura.
with a 99-cent super
You
chat.
sent less than yesterday?
I want to thank Ray Ora for all you do for the channel, Ray.
Downtrending with Ray.
Thank you for that. I
Well,
take it personally.
We want to thank everyone who always writes in super chats, because without you guys, we wouldn't have awesome theories and things to talk about, and we couldn't do the show without you. So thank you so much. We obviously also want to thank our sponsor, Mint Mobile. I want to thank everyone here. We got Amy. We got Rob. We've got Ray Ora, Big Money. We've got Jonathan. We got Taylor. Thank you so much, y'all. We will be back tomorrow morning. Oh, and there's John Campea hanging out in his office.
Well, I don't got a camera for that. So
All right. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Until next time, keep She-Hulking. We'll see you in the morning for our show. Bye-bye.
work.